Good morning. It's right about that time for us to talk about latest and trending updates in Nigeria today. The program is Atlantic Blowout right here on Atlantic Television Network. And Atlantic Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network that features chit-chats and conversations on special interest topics on news events and stories. The correspondents report, experts' opinion, and stakeholders' analysis. Today, some of the topics we'll be looking at. We'll take a story coming from Lagos State. We have reports that government of Lagos State has extended work from home policy. And then from Kano State, tricycle operators and others reject fuel hike. From Sokoto State, federal government urges residents to report lavish spenders. From inflation, Labour demands reversal of petrol price. On judiciary concerning the bad governance protest, NBA provides free legal aid for protesters. And then on state policing, NEC sets September 9 deadline for reports submission. We'll go on a short break, and after the break, we'll let you know who our guests are. Please stay with us on ATN. All right, thank you so much for staying right here with us. And welcome if you're just joining us. It's Atlantic Blowout and Atlantic Television Network. With me in the studio is Ambassador Ekie C. Ekie. He is a public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, Ambassador.
My pleasure. Thank
Welcome.
you, my viewers.
Welcome.
Good morning.
All right, let's go to Lagos State, Ambassador. We have reports that from Lagos State, the Lagos State government has extended its work from home policy for its workers for the next 3 months. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu approved the extension in a circular that was signed by the state head of service, Mr. Bode Agoro, on Wednesday. According to reports on February 28, the governor directed that the workers would work remotely on some days. He directed that workers on grade levels 1 to 14 were allowed to work from home for 2 days a week, while those on grade levels 15 to 17 were allowed to work from home for 1 day a week. The decision was aimed at reducing the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy on the workers. So Olu stated in Wednesday's circular that the policy made positive impact on workers' productivity in the various ministries, departments and agencies of the state government. The extension took effect from September 4th. Yes, 4th. I was going to say 14. On 4th of September, this already started, and they're already measuring the successes of this particular work from home policy. It's one of its kind. How do you see this story?
Well, it's laudable and very commendable. The Lagos State government, in most instances, has been a very exemplary when it has to do with governance and leadership. And I'm not surprised for this kind of gesture again. You know, wisdom is very profitable. When we learn to leverage on the opportunities that we have and also kill the slavery mentality of workers, as in the employer or the government feeling that because you are being paid, even when there is economic, adjustments unexpectedly or unexpectedly, it is assumed to look at for measures to still ensure that workers are not pressured. Hence, you can add more money for them. So now fuel price has increased, inflation in every areas of our livelihoods, which also affect the workers. So the best thing to do, if you do not have more money, knowing to whether what you bargain with them at the point of employment and at the point of salary review has changed, and you do not have more money to add to them because of the new economic changes and inflation, the right thing is to say, okay, well, let's review the working policy and the system. And I think that's what His Excellency Sanwo-Olu has just done, the governor of Lagos State. So I think other states should borrow a leaf so that it will also reduce the pressure from workers in the agitation for further increment of salary or payment, until government, find her footings and see how they can also review their pay. So I think it's commendable, and I think the workers that have gotten this kind of kind gesture from the government of Lagos State should also see that opportunity that is given to them. Is it 3 days for level 1 to 14 or thereabout? That's a low level in civil service. 3 days or 2 days should not be used for sleeping, should not be used for idle operations, for gossip and whatsoever. It should be used for alternative economic, ventures. You must be productive. Use these few days that government has exempted for you to be productive so that you can meet up other areas of economic demands. So I think it's something that is worth emulating and is worth commending. So other state government, I think they should follow this.
So you don't see any other side to it aside the positivity involved?
I think it's productive because they are not saying we are going to reduce your money. After all, we are in, a computer technology era where you can work from home. So if we are actually encouraging technological operations in our activities, in our systems, so it's laudable. So like you said, you can work from home. So it's a government that is talking based on the system they have put in place.
Talking about systems being put in place, remember you said that other state governors should borrow from it. It means that systems have to be put in place first. Because when you talk about technology and the era that we are in, definitely you're looking at some advanced technology. You're looking at to work from home and all of that. So in some of these states, if they don't have that advancement in their civil service, that means working from home might not be possible.
You see, those who are at those levels, it's not everybody that have business to do with the computer.
But some do.
Some minimally. So those whose work requires the computer, I think they can still work at home. So I doubt any state government that will not be using the computer gadget for most of their operations. So I think it's very, very in place in most of the states. I don't want to say all the states, So I think it is not a skyrocket thing. It's not something that is difficult, but it will only be a cheat to a very inhuman leaders at state government levels. We have some leaders that are very wicked, that they are very obnoxious in their decisions, who feel that the workers must pay with their blood and with their lives because of the little salary that they are earning. But I think if you are a leader, a governor that has the people at heart, that is humane, that understands economic reality, the way the governor of Lagos State has exhibited, there is no argument. There is no need to even think twice about it. So it is just for the betterment of the citizens.
All right, thank you so much for your analysis on that. Let's go to Kano State now. We have reports that motorists and commuters in Kano have condemned the sudden fuel price hike from 670 naira to 897 naira per litre, which has severely disrupted business and commercial activities. The increase, approved by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, has led to some up to 1,400 naira per litre. The price surge has also triggered a sharp rise in the cost of goods, with commodities like sachet water doubling in price and transportation fares increasing by 200%. Residents express frustration, with many considering drastic lifestyle changes due to the economic strain. All right, talking about fuel scarcity, it's not only happening in Kano State, it's happening in a lot of states in Nigeria. In fact, let's not go too far. Right here in Rivers State, we are experiencing it, and this has actually made there to be fewer vehicles on the road, increase in transportation, increase in goods and services in general. A lot of products are now higher, more expensive because of this. So I would like to get your reaction to this story. How is this affecting you now? Let's start with you.
Well, I'm a victim also, because I can no longer my generator plant at home for a very a long time because of the price of the product, the fuel. And it has also affected my life.
How is power? How is power in your area?
We don't even have as we speak, because I'm told they went and stole stuff from the transformer that is being vandalized. So if you do not buy the fuel, you can't pump water. So we're not even talking about other activities that will make life very, comfortable.
So there's no form of security for the transformers?
Well, the information I gathered was that the vigilantes said that they saw a healers at the middle of the night around 1, 2 a.m. and they flashed them with a torchlight and they flashed them back. So, and I wonder the kind of local security that we have that will see such an activities and wouldn't go closer, and what would police be doing in a transformer at the middle of the night? So the story seems very, very dumbfounding, but in any way, we trust God for repairs and replacement. So it's affecting. We can't really drive our cars now, and I want to believe that most of these activities or decisions looks to me as if Nigeria is not having leadership. It makes me feel that somebody at any corner of your jurisdiction and governance, you wake up in the morning because you don't like what has just happened, you take a, and I think it's very condemnable by the NNPC. We heard that Dangote refinery has product right now. So our jubilation and our excitement was going to be that, from what NNPC used to sell, 500 and something, it may now drop because of the issue of, custom duties will now be exempted. Most of the expenditures that is being borne in trying to import, fuel and export it for refining will no longer be there. So we are expecting a very joyful news from the NNPC and from the Dangote refinery. But it looks as if it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. So yesterday we were happier that 100 and something. We were complaining and we are saying let them reduce the prices. Now NNPC have gone ahead to increase the price. So it means that each time Nigerians are advocating for what to be good for them, those who are in leadership are planning more wicked and obnoxious decisions that will impoverish and incur more hardship and suffering on Nigerians.
This approved this approved fuel price actually came before we heard stories about Dangote reading out petrol from his refinery.
When did it come, the price?
The pricing, it came before then, because we have been talking about, yes, we've been talking about that. It was yesterday that we heard about Dangote reading out fuel. But from your analysis, it's looking like after Dangote reeled out fuel, we then heard the increase.
No. We heard that Dangote is now set. It has product now being refined for commercial purpose before the new price of NNPC came up. So it's just recently that Dangote rolled out his own price, right? But the NNPC has...
Not his price, his fuel.
That's releasing it now.
Yes,
but
yesterday.
We're already aware that he has it now ready. He announced it, that it's ready.
That his will soon be reading out.
Yes, that it's ready, but they were trying to look at the pricing and how it should be distributed. So Nigerians were happy that Dangote now has fuel, to distribute to Nigerians, to market.
But it's not like we've heard stories that the NNPC have now bought fuel from Dangote, and yet the price of fuel is still high out there.
The truth about it is, when leaders are not ready to alleviate the suffering of the people, you see flimsy excuses that does not make any sense. Is Dangote a spirit? Is it not the same Dangote that transacts discussions on how to get crude? Is it not the same Dangote that is relating with the agencies of government? So Dangote is not a spirit.
Okay, let me make something really clear for you now. When we talk about the increase in the price of fuel from the NNPC, we're looking at the reasons that they stated. They talked about the fact that it's expensive importing it. In fact, we had independent marketers coming out to say they're no longer, they have actually stopped because of the expense, the cost of importing it from other countries. Now the NNPC are the sole importers now. They're importing the fuel. And they have said that it is expensive. Now, when they get to subsidize that amount to resell to these other marketers, it's more like close to half the price at that time, right? When they get to resell. But then recently we heard complaints from the marketers saying that they're now buying at exorbitant rates. It's no longer at 600 and something naira. They're looking at 900 and something naira, and there is no how they would buy at that price and then sell at that price. So that was where all of the increase came in. And then the NNPC complaining about the amounts that they get to subsidize from the fuel that they import, and they have said that it is so much. In fact, we're looking at them even owing other countries now that they get to buy fuel from because of this subsidy that they are putting on the fuel before they resell. So do you understand where all of the price increase came from? And from all of my explanation now, you didn't hear Dangote in the story, did you?
No. You see, I'm aware of all of these issues.
Okay.
Nigerians have clamored that our refineries should work. So if Dangote's refinery, the litmus tests, has now worked and it has nothing to reduce the price of PMS, rather than is increasing now the price of PMS in Nigeria, should we still advocate and pray and desire that the Warri refinery should work, Port Harcourt refinery should work?
We've not bought petrol from Dangote and saw that it was expensive. Why don't we wait for us to get the petrol and then find out how much the NNPC will be selling?
Dangote said.
And Dangote has even told us that he is not the one putting up the price on the petrol. All he has to do is make sure that the product is available for Nigerians and West Africa, as is their target.
Okay.
It's not in his place to fix the price. This was a story that was revealed yesterday. During the petrol that's reading out his fuel, during that particular event, that was when he mentioned that it's in place of the NNPC to fix that fuel. So why don't we wait till when we get the fuel from Dangote and then we find out that it's still expensive before we start saying, oh, Dangote refinery is out and yet it's still expensive.
The new price that NNPC has just rolled out, right? Is it 900 and something naira per liter, isn't it? So is it when they get Dangote's product, okay, that one, now if they bought it for a lower price, the price will be reviewed? If that's our understanding, then that will be fine. So maybe 1 or 2 will not kill us. So let us hope that once Dangote releases their own products to the market, NNPC will now review the price, the current price, and bring it down maybe to...
Do you really see that happening? Some people are thinking that there's something fishy because they are talking about the increase in the price of fuel by NNPC, and then Dangote reeling out fuel. And a lot of Nigerians feel like that's going to be the fixed price no matter who we get to buy from.
The truth is, most times in Nigerian operations and activities, for me, I learned to trust leaders. I learned to believe leaders until they prove me otherwise.
So you think they haven't proven otherwise?
So that's why I'm trying to lay an emphasis that sometimes statements of some of our leaders seems very contradictory and very confusing. You know, because I do not want to really agree with my elder brother, elder statesman, Aliko Dangote, that is the NNPC that will tell him how much he's going to sell the product, as if it were his refinery, his government refinery. Because I want to believe that it is a private independent refinery, and as a businessman, he's going to put together how much his product will be sold. So I want to think that because of the partnership he's having with the NNPC, that's the federal government, they can discuss the very minimal way that it can be of betterment to Nigerians. So for him to come out and want to exonerate himself, is it that is only in, if actually he said so, is it that is only in this issue of a PMS that Aliko Dangote group of company will no longer fix price, whereas in all their products in this country, they fix price for themselves? So I do not want to completely agree with him if actually he made such a statement. And I believe if he made that statement, I think he should review that statement, because I know no serious businessman will say Nigeria has not gotten to that level where government control price. If he was telling me from Europe, I would say yes, government in Europe control prices of products, but not in Nigeria. So
don't we have agencies for control of prices in Nigeria?
There are laws that are not used until when they decide to use it. So there are some agencies that are there. It is only when government wants it to function the way it ought to, it will function.
So you're saying our price control agencies in Nigeria are not functioning?
Well, how do you control the price when you don't even have an aid to the person's, production? You are not helping the person in any way, and you want to control price. It's not possible.
What do you mean?
So a relative to a very reasonable extent, government is not really helping entrepreneurs. So because you are not helping them, it becomes difficult for you to control what they are doing. And that's why when government wants to interfere on a serious note to most of these companies, you see them walking away because they cannot survive. It looks as if government is selfish. It's only thinking about how they will generate revenue for themselves, and they are not thinking about how the businessman, the investor, is going to make profit from his business. So government cannot think they are more wiser than the entrepreneurs. So when you want to oppress somebody by your policies because you want to raise IGRO, you are indirectly saying that you should shut down your business. So I want to believe that...
Recently, we heard the FCCPC saying that marketers should reduce their prices in 1 month. They gave them 1 month ultimatum. And that's still them not being functional?
The truth about most of these things is there are people who are involved in these businesses. And most times they are the same people who controls what happens in government. So if you really want to further your pressure because they gave you one appointment in government, sometimes you can lose your position. Sometimes you can be called to order. So the bureaucracies and the internal interferences in most of these political positions are very, very, retrogressive to our results as a nation. So there are things that will never allow, success and progress as a nation.
Even if we say that Dangote gets to decide how much he sells to NNPC now, we cannot say that Dangote would decide how much NNPC will get to retail out to Nigerians.
The truth is, I have not even seen brother Aliko Dangote as a man that is a businessman. He loves making profit, which every one of us love. It is only recently that when Blowout came and other cement companies, that the price of cement has dropped. When it was only him in this industry, in this issue of production of cement, we know how much cement went up. So I am not really his fan when it has to do with treating Nigerians with what he produces or manufactures. So I do not blame him because the government do not really support.
All right, let's look at our own refineries now, because we're actually talking about the fuel scarcity, and you have been making reference to Dangote refinery. Let's look at our refineries. We heard recently that Kaduna and Warri refineries would be given out to private individuals. Bidders, it's open for bidders right now, and then they would be in charge of these refineries for 5 years, and there are some criteria down to the fact that their staff must be nationals, that's Nigerians, and then some other criteria that have been reeled out to them. So do you also see that in any way being a step in the right direction by the government?
Privatization or lease? Well, whichever is of the contest, whether lease or privatization, I think if what you are doing is not working, it's foolishness to continue doing the same thing that is not working. So if all the resources that federal government has put in place in Port Harcourt refinery, Kaduna refinery, Warri refinery is not producing results because of stories, because of bureaucracies, because of interferences, let us see, since one-man business owned the Dangote refinery that has worked, let us believe that if the federal government privatized or lease our refineries, that is going to give us the optimal result that we desire. So I want to believe that those who are going to bid for it and those who are going to have it will be sincere Nigerians who will not think that they are also now working for government again, and let them see themselves as people who are going to make life better for Nigerians.
So you think it's better for private individuals to handle it than the government?
For years, the ones the people in government are handling has not worked. So, and every year there is budget, there is fund release for the maintenances of these refineries. So if it's not working, the best thing is to think out of the box. And I think that's one of the reasons that may have led to the suggestion of maybe lease or privatization. I'm yet to really get the right terms for that decision.
All right, thank you so much. Let's see this story talking about the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle. He has assured residents of Sokoto State that the military presence is aimed at defeating bandits in the region. He urged residents to report any jobless individual living lavishly, as they might be informants for bandits. Matawalle, along with Chief of Defense General Christopher Musa, visited Sokoto on President Bola Tinubu's directive to address insecurity in the northwest. Governor Ahmed Aliyu called for unity against banditry, discouraged the spread of fake security information, and emphasized the state government's efforts to support security agencies, including the Sokoto Community Guard Corps. All right, we have reports from Sokoto State that the federal government has urged residents to report lavish spenders, especially those people that look like they're not doing anything. And according to them, this might just be informants for bandits. You know, we've been talking about banditry in some states in the north.
Well, the security chiefs, they are more professional and they are authorities when it has to do with security matters. But again, one will also wonder the places where they are aware that bandits are operating from, that terrorists are operating from. What is the big results that have been achieved? Now, it's like living to chase the rabbits and you begin to chase rats. You know, what is the definition of a lavish lifestyle? I think they ought to have defined it so that it's not going to be an era for, you know, oppressing the common man. It's not going to be, and because each time police accost anybody, they must spend money before they leave. I don't want to say they must pay for bail because the law says bail is free.
Well, what do you mean they need to define lavish?
No, yes, you need to define
Okay.
lavishly. But to my very understanding, lifestyle in the northern Nigeria, Sokoto, is a very mild and very simple lifestyle. So if when you talk about lavish lifestyles, I really want them to define it.
Is it not going to define itself when you just said that in Sokoto they live a mild and moderate
when
lifestyle?
you say lavishly, for instance, you may find it difficult to eat one boiled egg because of your economic status. I may like to eat 3. So because I ate 3 eggs, it could be seen to be a lavish lifestyle.
That is not lavish.
No.
And we both know that is not in no way lavish.
The people you are talking to, the mentalities and the exposures and the understanding are not the same. That's why I wanted to suggest, and I'm suggesting that it should be defined. Because what you understand to be lavish lifestyle, to the average man, is just a normal life. But to the man that is, struggling on how to have 1 square meal, it may be a very lavish lifestyle. So that's why I think that they should define it. Because not because you see me eat 3 eggs, you now go and call police, send information to police.
Your examples are very funny. How would you use eggs?
This is my neighbor. No, I'm just giving an instance.
No, that instance is far from
or maybe,
it. And we both know that instance is not
No. Or maybe those who like when you go to a restaurant, because the food is so sweet, and then you say, give me extra. It's lavish lifestyle. Or possibly because you are in a table trying to cool off or marry with your friends.
We both feel that is not it.
Now again,
once the government says lavish, people already understand to a large extent what they are talking about.
It has to be defined because the understanding and the mentality are not the same. And secondly, when you talk about people who do not really have, who are jobless, it boils down again to the way we reason. We still tend to project, colonial mentality and the primitive era.
What is that?
Now, what I try to mean is this. We are in a jet age. We are in a technology age. We are in an era where you can sit in front of your laptop. You mustn't be a Yahoo boy or Yahoo girl. And you are working with your laptop or with your computer, with your phone. And then you are making your money. You get it? So because I do not wake up from the morning and go to an office, and then you see me, I don't go to any of the companies to go and work. I'm not selling any product that you can see. And I went to the supermarket to buy things, and then you see me eat
that is not lavish lifestyle.
No. Especially those suspected to be jobless. You get it? Because the understanding of an average Nigerian of who is not jobless is somebody who is a civil servant, who works in a company, right? Somebody who owns a shop.
Someone who wakes up in the morning and leaves the house.
Exactly. So you are
and comes back in the evening.
That's why I said that thinking is very, very primitive and is colonial. So I think we must wake up. So the yardstick for trying to curb criminality and bandits in Sokoto State and those environs, I think is not very a global standard. So I think our security operatives needs to wake up and put up, security is not just the physical appearance of security operatives. It has to do with intelligence gathering. It has to do with information. Now, the police are being trained. Security operatives are being trained on information gathering. When you begin to come out on television and say report, it's like the police security operative are helpless. So they are not trying to rely on citizens to...
But you know they can't do it alone.
No, I know.
Definitely there needs to be synergy
security
with the people.
Of course, is everybody's business. But the way they have pushed it right now, it looks as if they are very helpless. But I want to encourage citizens of Sokoto State, however you can contribute to see that security in Sokoto State becomes very better. It's everybody's business. You should do. But I also want to feel that don't use what the police have said to winch hunt your neighbor, to winch hunt.
But it's not just, aside the police saying it in Sokoto State, you know that's what happens in a lot of states in Nigeria. If people notice that you don't leave the house in the morning and come back in the evening, they could report you. But that's why intelligence gathering is there. We don't expect that information should just be carried on and then the person locked up and, you know, convicted for nothing. We expect that investigations will be carried out. So this reportage or this report that the police are talking about is for them to be able to carry out investigations.
See, our security operatives, many of them don't function that way. Once information is given that it looks like you are living a criminal life, you could wake up...
You mean lavish lifestyle?
Yeah, the lavish lifestyle is already a suspect to become a criminal. So once that information is given, you wake up one morning, they've mashed the door and they want to arrest a criminal. Just like the way most of our young Nigerians are suffering, because you drive a relatively good car. It's assumed that you are an internet fraudster, you know. And I like to differ most times, and I always say that most of our leaders, some of us who also work hard early, I remember when I was driving my second car, when I'm driving on the road, you know, the commuters will shout, you know, go park your papa motor there, and all of that. Whereas it's my car, it's not my father's car. But in their assumption, they believe that it's my father's car I took to go out. So I think Nigerians are hardworking. We still have people who are hardworking, and they are still hardworking.
Yes, for this information to come out, we cannot completely rule it out. I know you have brought your points from the other side, but there must have been some sort of information that has made them come out to say, look, it shows that some people in our community are working with the bandits, and they are the one giving them information, and probably they are getting paid well. So if you notice anybody who's not doing anything, who is living lavish, report the person to the police. They didn't. I don't think they just came out and just made an outright statement without having information to back it up or having some investigations that has led to this comment.
No, I'm not saying, you know, in my first premise, I said the police chiefs who have made these, you know, requests and pronouncements, they are experts. They are professionals and they are authority as far as security matters are concerned. But I only further to, you know, encourage that the lavish lifestyle they are talking about should be defined because of the mindset and the mentality of the citizens of that state. Everybody is not at the same level of understanding. I only brought down the issue of 3 eggs and because
when you hear, okay, imagine you are in that state now. When you hear the police telling you if you notice anybody around you is living a lavish lifestyle, report the person to the police. What do you think they're talking about?
Most times it becomes an avenue for revenge.
For you now, for you, what would be your definition from that statement?
Lavish lifestyle?
Yes.
I told you that the lifestyle of everybody is not the same. The fact that you cannot afford what I'm affording or what I am using, it doesn't make me live a lavish lifestyle. The fact that maybe I'm into philanthropic life...
Okay, you're telling us what it does, what it is not. Can you tell us what it is? To you.
Well, that's why
this is just simple English and this is simple grammar.
The person who authored, there is an intent.
Yes.
So I'm not the author of that statement.
But you're the receiver now.
No, is the, you know, that's the...
And now I'm asking you as the receiver, how do you decode this particular statement?
You see, I will not teach the police their work.
Okay, you don't want to make a statement on that. Let's go further and let's see how. Let's see what I've seen. You don't want. You don't want to go there. What do we expect now from the security agencies as long as banditry is concerned in the north?
What I expect is for them to increase their level of intelligence, information gathering, increase their level of operations in terms of arrest, in terms of dislodging the bandits, you know, and ensuring that proper prosecutions are made, and then also go into the causes of this banditry. Because sometimes we are only reactive. Sometimes we do not want to ask. Yes, there are criminal activities, but we are not interested to know what shall have led these young people, even old people are involved in this kind of criminal lifestyles. So they should also employ the avenue of, you know, community relationship, and ensuring that the curb, if there are areas where the economic life is very hard, you know, government can be encouraged. Please, can you cite some industries? Can you see how you can give scholarship? Can you see how you can empower the young people to go into businesses so that they will not have an idle opportunity to exhibit devilish operations? So it's not just about looking for criminals. We also need to think about preventing criminal activities, and which I think is also a major way of reducing the pressures that our security operatives are having. I sympathize with them all the time because they are being exposed, you know, to dangers. They are being exposed to activities that can endanger their lives, because they are people's brothers, sisters, they are people's husbands and wives, you know. So, but if we take our responsibilities very well, people in government, as community leaders, and then ensure that there is peace, we ensure that there is no oppression, there is no injustice, there is fairness in our activities, there is opportunity for people to strive and survive and make ends meet, the issue of criminality will reduce.
Okay, so let's look at the police now working with the community. I remember once on this show when you talked about people in the community being involved in this, and this story has actually highlighted that right now, talking about some of these people who are sponsors or partners with these bandits living among the people. How do you expect the police to fish these guys out if the community doesn't help them fish them out? Because they're the ones living with these people, and that's probably why they came up with the idea of, okay, this is exactly how we might get to identify these people working with the bandits. Well,
I've always encouraged community, every individual, to partner with the security operatives, because it's not a one-man business. The police cannot be everywhere because they are not spirits, and they are also short of manpower. They are also short of equipment, you know, to handle global security. Having said that, I will continue to encourage communities to partner with the police, and also encourage the officers on duty when these informations are given. These individuals should not be treated as criminals. Proper investigations should be done, and when it is, you know, understood that this person is not actually jobless, he has what it takes to live the kind of lifestyle he's living, maintain the kind of lifestyle he's also maintaining, this person should be freed without any kind of demand for payment, without any kind of harassment. You know, you must not even take him to the police station for you to interrogate him.
No, the law already stipulates how these things should be done, and I don't think it's so far from what you're saying.
What is the law saying? The truth about it is that the conventional activities of most of our security, we have good ones, we have decent ones, we have ones that are very, very professional in conducting their assignment. But we have some who are very crooked. We have some whose intent is only to muzzle out resources from the suspected victim. So that's why we are trying to raise a caution. that the officers on duties should not see it as an opportunity to exploit innocent citizens of Sokoto State in the name of information, in the name of interrogation, because somebody's a whistleblower blew that this my neighbor is living a lavish lifestyle, and I do not know how he gets his resources. You know, so that's why I said that they must conduct themselves in a more professional way, not dehumanizing anybody because somebody says my neighbor is living a lifestyle, whereas you do not know the source of your neighbor's source of income. So if you are as a police officer, you are informed, try and interrogate, discuss, right, to gather information. If it's not convincing, then you can further your interrogation, but not to, you know, see the suspect as a criminal because somebody says he's living a what do you call it, that word again, a lavish lifestyle. That's why I said the lavishness should be defined, or ought to have been defined. And I still maintain that the fact that you can provide 1 egg and I can provide 3 for myself does not make me live a lavish lifestyle. It's contextual. So let us not begin to victimize each other because of what you cannot afford.
I was really eager to find out your definition of lavish because I wonder how we will talk about lavish and you keep mentioning 3 eggs.
No, it's contextual.
Like how of all the examples in the world did you come up with buying
why
eggs?
I say so is that there are a lot
going to the supermarket.
There are so much eggs in Sokoto State. So egg is a good analogy or example to be used.
I didn't even hear you mention things like building, you know, houses, buying very expensive cars when your people around you do not even know exactly what you're doing, and you don't even leave the house like the conventional Nigerian who works in the morning and comes back in the evening.
But we have already defined that, knowing that we are in a jet age, computer age, not everybody have the opportunity to work in a firm, physical firm. There are people, okay, for instance now, Lagos State government is saying some can work from home. There are people who are working for some multinational companies and they work from home. There are consultants. So our different ways of operations are not the same. So the fact that we are neighbors and you do not know my source of livelihood, in fact, that's why I said it's a very primitive mentality, because if you travel to Europe, your next door neighbor, you may not know her name or his name, right? The person wakes up in the morning.
But it's not always that way in Nigeria. This is Nigeria.
That's what we are saying now, that we are still operating with the primitive era.
Why do we call it primitive? Because we
primitive era. Because
we communicate with ourselves, and that's primitive.
No. It's a communal life. It's not bad. We do not mind our business. When we communicate with others, sometimes we communicate to gather information to ruin them. We do not communicate with people so that we can gather information to get help and motivation. So sometimes the intent of communication is not for progressive ventures. So I like, because sometimes we are here, we live here. So that's why I feel that our decisions sometimes is very primitive, you know, and we do not want to step up to global ways of doing things. And the ones that we borrow globally, we only use it against ourselves. So we must sometimes, I wonder whether Satan lives in Nigeria.
No.
Why
would you say that?
So we must.
You even sound like you have experienced somebody who has really shown you that, shown you Pepe. Let's go on a short break now. When we return, the conversation will continue with other stories. Please stay with us. right, let's look at what looks like a new dawn in Nigeria. For some Nigerians who are eager, talking about the oil marketers who are eagerly awaiting the price of petrol from the Dangote Petroleum Refinery, which has begun production but announced that only the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited will lift the product initially. This news has caused uncertainty amongst independent petroleum marketers who expected more open market competition. As NNPC increased petrol prices at its stations, there are concerns that the price of petrol could soon reach 1,200 naira per litre, contributing to inflation and straining household budgets. The situation has led to panic buying, long queues and fuel scarcity across Nigeria, with some areas seeing prices as high as 1,500 naira per litre. Meanwhile, Dangote Refinery is expected to supply 25 million litres of petrol daily to the Nigerian market, potentially rising to 30 million litres by October 2024. However, concerns persist about the impact of rising fuel prices on the economy and the burden on Nigerians. We cannot actually get tired of talking about this until we have actually seen ourselves walk majestically out of the case of fuel scarcity that we have. Year in, year out, we have issues of fuel scarcity. Year in, year out, we get to see long queues in fuel stations with different excuses or different reasons that are being given. It's either from the NNPC or we complain coming from the independent marketers. But this time, there's more to this story. Ambassador, how do you see us coming out of this case?
Well, for me, I'm not among those who jubilated that Dangote Refinery is going to provide PMS for Nigerians. I'm only going to jubilate when the production of Dangote Refinery has led to the reduction in the price of the product. So when the production of a Dangote Refinery has led to the reduction of the products, which is the PMS, the fuel, that's the only time I can rejoice that the Dangote Refinery has come to be a blessing to Nigerians. But with what I'm seeing so far, the increment in the prices of PMS is not a reason for jubilation yet. It's not a joyful experience yet. So I like to believe that the price of Dangote Refinery, the products from the Dangote Refinery, will determine how Nigerians will fare and celebrate this new, dawn in our country.
Is it on Dangote or on the NNPC?
You see, when I talk about, I'm talking about the source. We all clamor that Dangote should be encouraged. We all clamor that
you also clamored for
yes, that
okay.
the crude should be given to him so that he can refine. Now the product is available. We now want to see how that availability of product is going to help Nigerians in terms of the price reduction in PMS. On a very sincere note, in Port Harcourt, River State here, apart from these few days because of the wahala in prices, we have not really experienced a scarcity of fuel. The only challenge is in the amount you buy. At least there is fuel where to buy. So for me...
Wait, we said in River State we've not experienced scarcity
of much.
We are experiencing scarcity right now.
I say right now.
Yes, right now.
And this one is as a result of the conflict in price. Most of the filling stations, I believe they have product, but they are waiting for what the price is going to be because they are businessmen. So not as if we do not have product. I'm
even wondering how the black marketers are getting these products if people cannot get it.
That you can answer more to that. So the point here is the emergence of Dangote Refinery products. I want to see how it's going to reduce the purchase of it by the common Nigerians. If the price from Dangote Refinery do not come to the barest minimum for the common Nigerian to afford is still like a wasted venture.
And even if it is on the barest minimum for the common Nigerian to afford, and the NNPC price is still not at the barest minimum for Nigerians to afford, I'm trying to show you that there are two parties to play here.
You see, Dangote have said it categorically that NNPC will be the first to lift the product. In other words, they will be the first buyers. You are getting it? It's Dangote that will sell to NNPC. The way NNPC goes to buy abroad and now fix the price. So it has nothing to do. Dangote is not owning a petroleum, what do you call it, fuel station. He doesn't own one. So that's why it's telling you that it is NNPC that will determine the price of fuel. And he's speaking as a businessman, which is the truth.
Okay, so that you finally agreed now that according to what he has said, that the NNPC would be the ones to determine the price of the fuel.
He's correct in regard.
Okay.
Because he does not own a filling station. He's going to sell NNPC the product. NNPC sells it in the market. His hands are not there. So all what we are saying is that the price, bargain between the Dangote refinery and the NNPC should be optimally minimal so that the price can reduce for Nigerians to buy. Because the issue of subsidy, in the issue of prices in going to import this PMS has been, because we do not have it before. Now we have it. So what is the grammar you are going to speak again? Dollar price, import duty, export duty of the product, this and that and that and that, plenty grammar. We want to see the lie or the truth that NNPC will tell us now.
What about the independent marketers? We've not mentioned them.
Well, I want to believe that if NNPC have these products, because the price of NNPC has always been more fair to Nigerians, even though it's still on the high side. But the unfortunate thing with the NNPC gas stations is that they are few. If the NNPC fuel stations are so many for we to have PMS, I don't think the issue of independent marketers would be a reasonable thing to consider.
But now they are not, so.
So that's where it's reasonable now to consider, because they, in turn, will buy from NNPC and then add their little profit. But of course, most of the times, the profit they also add is on a very outrageous point. They sell us this product as if we are their enemies, that we are not also their brothers and sisters. So I like
They're businessmen.
They're
out to make profit.
Can't, all of us are into business, one business or the other. You can't make all the businesses by suffocating your people.
You actually do not expect them not to want to make profit. What we should be looking at is we or the government regulating the prices of these independent markets. That's what we should be looking at. But if you say the independent marketers should not want to, inflate the prices, then anyone who says that would definitely you said that they fix the prices like we're not their brothers.
I said
they should consider family. This is business.
What I'm trying to say is that the profits they add is outrageous.
Because they're out to make profit.
Okay, since
what we should do, that's what I'm telling you. We should be talking about the government regulating the price, giving a fixed price for the independent marketers, since they're all getting from the NNPC and the NNPC from Dangote.
Oh, you make a very wonderful point there. And we are also in this country where the regulatory agencies of PMS goes around to check how much each of these petrol stations are selling. And at the end of the day, you see that they shut down most of these petrol stations because of the way they adjusted their
How much of that have we really heard now?
Most times they do.
Because we know that there are a lot of fuel stations currently who are going against if there's even any law on ground concerning that. So, but then nothing is being done.
They can't be everywhere. So we are always saying that they should increase the volume of their operations. Because there is still this price, fixed in most of these products. But when you get to those stations, that's why when they get to the station, they check how much they are selling. If it's not the price, sometimes they shut down the filling station. Sometimes their meters are adjusted. So these are not the things must government force you to do. That's why I said they are treating us as if we are not their brothers or their sisters. You don't need government to force you to do what is right. The little profit you need to add according to the regulations, add it. Not when we even buy the fuel at the price that you are selling us, and we can't get that particular liter that you are selling us.
If we expect everybody to follow regulations and rules and laws, then there should be no need for implementation. There is a body for implementation because it is known that not everybody would want to follow the rules and the regulations.
No, some are following the rules. That's why when you go to filling stations, you see the variations in prices. Because each of them are exhibiting the level of kind of greed and ungodliness of them. All of us are here. We are all Nigerians. We see what happens to us. You buy a particular fuel in a particular amount and you don't get what is due you from that price because of adjustment of the meter. Most government, if we want to talk about the enforcement, if we want Nigeria to be better, if we want Nigerians not to suffer, you mustn't wait for enforcement of those laws. Enforcement one is by the way you do it rightly. That's the better way of enforcement. The other coerce enforcement is the because you have refused, right? They now want to coerce you to do it. But the best enforcement is the one you enforce rightly according to the regulations.
Nobody's doubting that. We're also saying everybody should play their role. If you want the independent marketers to play their role, then the agencies who are involved in regulating the price should also play their role.
The rules are there. Now, what we're already trying to advise, I encourage is that these agencies put up their regulations and give to independent marketers. But most of the independent marketers, they do flat these regulations.
Of course, that's why they're there to
and there are some who do not. Those who obey that regulation have implemented it. Those who did not obey it have refused to implement. Also, it is only when government agency will now come to check to force you implement it. And we are saying it is wrong. If there is a policy and there is a regulation, let us follow it. Let us implement it the way others are implementing. Don't wait for agencies of government to come before you implement.
Exactly. Is doubting
Good.
that.
So we are not.
Are you saying that they do not have a role? That's talking about the government agencies who are involved in. Are you completely taking them out of this picture? Talking about the role that they have to play and how Nigerians are complaining about how this is affecting them. Talking about these independent marketers adjusting meters and doing this or that, them paying for what they are not getting, or paying more than what they actually get. So you cannot completely take the enforcement out of the picture.
No, I'm not taking it out of place.
All right, let's look at the Nigerian Bar Association now, the NBA. They have offered free legal representation to the hashtag End Bad Governance protesters facing court cases across the country. Mazi Afamosigwe, through his X-handle, announced that NBA branches would monitor the trials. The NBA launched a pro bono support initiative to ensure protesters without legal representation receive assistance. The NBA Citizens Liberty Committee is working with the regional NBA branches to prevent any injustice. This follows the demand of some protesters in Kuje Correctional Center on treason charges, with a bail hearing set for September 11, 2024.
Yeah.
I think I've heard you call for this before.
Yes, I did. And I want to, when our elder statesman, Femi Falana, addressed the NBA, I said, I want to believe that NBA, because they have legal aids, they have lawyers who will be interested to do pro bono free legal services, and that, of course, some of them may be affected because of their economic life. And I said that the NBA should wake up the legal aid unit and encourage lawyers, human rights lawyers, who will be willing to go for pro bono services. And I want to laud the Nigerian Bar Association for coming to the aid of innocent and oppressed, citizens of Nigerians. It's one thing that the NBA have done this year that I think is commendable, and I want to believe that further aspect of, the problem should be increased and should be encouraged, not just for the end bad governance process. There are areas in our national life that people are oppressed, people are unjustly, detained, unjustly, prosecuted, and because they lack the legal resources, to defend them, to have justice. I think the NBA, with what I have just seen happen right now, I believe that NBA should further their step of pro bono services to the common Nigerians.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. All right, let's look at the NEC now. The National Economic Council has given a deadline of September 9 for 4 states, Adamawa, Kwara, Sokoto, and Kebbi, and the Federal Capital Territory to submit reports on state police establishment. Failure to do so will result in binding decisions. The NEC also discussed the severe flood situation and announced a release of 3 billion naira to affected states. A field committee with expanded membership to establish and address the disaster and the impact of the damage to infrastructure and agriculture. That's on the flood now. But let's look at the statement on the state.
Well, it's commendable, and I think the federal government can always advocate here that a governor who cannot protect life and property in his state, which is the primary responsibility of every government, have no business in being in the state house, neither a local government chairman. So now the issue of blame games is, Mr. President, come and help us. I think the federal government is trying to say now that His Excellency, Mr. Governor, you and your local government chairman be responsible in ensuring that your state is what? Safe and protected, so that the issue of blame game will not be there. We have advocated for this. And
you have?
Yes. And okay. We also want to feel that it's not going to be a time that the security vote will be properly utilized. Because in these scenarios that we see where the insecurity problem is pushed to Mr. President, who is in Abuja, whereas you are a governor in a state or a local government chairman, that ought to see how you curb the insecurity in your localities. You are pushing it to somebody who stays in far Aso Villa. It doesn't make any sense. So I want to think that the remaining states that are yet to submit their report should speedize it, so that let us now see the governors and the local government chairmen that are irresponsible, that are not able to protect in partnership and collaboration with the security operatives in their states. So when you cannot, then it means that you are the one that have failed.
Is this in any way going to help the insecurity cases that we have?
It's going to help because it will reduce the complaint, the story of Mr. President. And our president is elderly, so that our president, most of the work... It's
not on the president. When they say the federal government, it doesn't mean it's on the president. It doesn't mean it's on the president. There's someone who is in charge of security in the federal level.
The references most time is on Mr. President. Of course, Mr. President is the commander-in-chief of all the armed forces. So
it's not out of place also for them to reach out to him.
That's what we are saying. That's why I said that it's going to reduce most of the pressure on the president, who is the commander-in-chief. And especially now that our economy needs a whole lot of attention. So our president now will have more time to look for partnership, to look for opportunities that will, exploit the avenues for our economic development.
You think this has in any way disrupted that activity?
No. Yes, for me, it will end the blame game. Mr. Governor, tell us how you will fix your state security. Local government chairman, tell us how you will fix the security of your local government. If you fail, you can resign. If you don't know what to do, you don't have the basic responsibility of government is to protect life and properties. Number two, welfare of citizens. So if you fail in this responsibility, what are you doing with our allocation? What are you doing with our resources? You have no business in governance. So I want to commend the federal government with this new initiative. And I want to encourage the state governors to, live up to her responsibilities. It's now a challenge on all the governors in the 36 states, including FCT. It's now a challenge on all the local government chairmen that it is no longer complain or blame game as usual. So the governor now will now tell us whom is going to blame. Of course, he will now channel the blame back to the local government. And I think we may get more results. But our prayer is only going to be that the security policing, giving the state governors some level of strength, will not be used for political witch hunting or political wickedness. But rather it will be used on the intent on ensuring that the states are safe, the local government are safe. Then we are good to go.
All right, thank you so much, Ambassador Ekie, for your thoughts on the show today.
My pleasure.
And big thanks for being a part of this. This is where we get to wrap it up on this episode of Atlantic Blowout. Thank you for being a part of this once again. Remember to stay connected with us on all of our ATN socials, on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network 1, and on X at Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website at www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Always remember that unity are the pathways to progress. I am Enidoye Jackson. Thank you for watching. Coming up next is Open Conversation. Please stay with us.